and it's going to be a double on the night for Kieran Fallon, and Bushman comes over to win.
It's going to be tight here. Millie loves the boogie, got up to win it.
Love action from a mile back. It's a three-way go to the line. That's tight.
Hi, good evening. Warm welcome to Windsor for our regular Monday night visit. Good news tonight if you're coming to Windsor. You probably won't be listening to me now, but it's Curry Festival. Even better news, Big Mac is going to be with us throughout the whole evening, so no doubt there may be a little bit of curry thrown in there as well. He'll be joining us a little bit later. It's very, very windy here. Windy, of course, countrywide. Been all sorts of problems with these blustery conditions. As far as the conditions here are concerned, it is blustery. Just spoke to Gemma Charrington, the clerk of the course, and good to firm the ground. So she's leaving it at that for now. It is very windy, sort of ground that as soon as you put water on, I should think it dries straight back up again. But good to firm. There were a flurry of non-runners that came through earlier today, but there haven't been any more on top of that just yet, and we'll keep you posted there. You'll get all the details, of course, here on ATR throughout the evening. Well, the first of our 6 races is at 6:10, and I really think it's going to be a great night for Roger Charlton and Steve Drown. They've got a fantastic book of rides here tonight, not least Bated Breath in the feature race here today. That's the sportingbet.com stakes, the leisure stakes over 6 furlongs at 7:40. Come to that in a minute, but first of all, I think they could kick off with a winner with Tierman Legend in our opening race here. It's a novice stakes over 5 furlongs, and this colt actually won at Lingfield last time out on the turf, and that one fancied to run well. When Roger spoke to Matt Chapman on Get On a few hours back, if you were listening to that, you'll have heard him say that this was probably his best chance of a winner. He had to really eke that out of him, but he did seem to think that was his best chance, I guess, because Bated Breath is running in such a competitive race. That makes life tough. They do have a runner in the second, Promenadia, in the 6:40, but to be honest, Roger wasn't entirely convinced with her. I think she's entered in the July sales. At the moment she's owned by Khalid Abdullah, but I don't know that necessarily there was a huge amount of confidence behind her. One that I really fancy in the second race here is Putting on the Style for Richard Hannon and Richard Hughes. Rarely a Monday night at Windsor goes by without them having a winner together, and I think this horse can do better than last time out when finishing 5th and met all sorts of trouble. Everything went wrong. We'll have come on for that run as well, and Putting on the Style the one for me in that. Now there are 3 non-runners in the 6 furlong handicap at 7:10, unfortunately, which is a bit disappointing. Just the 13 going to post for this one now. Ivory Silk, I think, is the one that I shall stick with here for Jeremy Gask, whose horses have hit a rich vein of form. Anne of Kiev won for him at Haydock on Saturday. They also had a horse placed in one of the decent contests up there as well, so I think that one could be good enough there. Moving on then to the feature race, the £30,000 listed race at 7:40. I napped Bated Breath on Sky Sports News this morning. Really fancy this horse. I napped him last time when he won at Haydock. Things can go wrong for him and he can meet trouble in running, but he's going the right way. He's progressing. I'm hoping he's going to be good enough today, and if he is, Royal Ascot will be on the cards for him after this. He's got stiff opposition though today. Just take out Elna Win and Tropical Treat because they don't go. But a fascinating contest with last year's winner, Triple Aspect, in the race again. This is a horse who could run well. Ryan Moore rides the horse this time round. Monsieur Chevalier, another interesting one for Richard Hannon, not run for an absolute age, a horse who's had back problems. They've also got Librano down the bottom, but that's a 3-year-old, and I think life is really tough for 3-year-old sprinters in races like this. Horseradish taking a step up from Handicap Company. Bated Breath, the one that I like though, despite what looks like a quite hot competition, so fingers crossed he can boost his Royal Ascot claims. The 8:10 is the penultimate race, 1.25 mile maiden. Nothing really leapt out the page at me here. There aren't any with any fancy entries. There are some that have shown ability. Autobahn for Godolphin, but looked a little wayward on debut at Newcastle. Kinrias or Kinniras for Sir Michael Stout is another of those. Ryan Moore rides this one. He makes his seasonal reappearance. He showed a bit of ability last year. Sylvester Kirk's got a runner that could go well. Omar Ladd, that one making his turf debut. And down the bottom, Onirik, I think is how we pronounce it, for Rafe Beckett at Philly against the Colts in that one. But that is maybe one we'll just hang fire until I get to have a look at them in the pre-parade ring and see what they look like. Last race, well, unfortunately, it's been decimated. 3 non-runners from an original field of 10, so just 7 going to post here. Another one that looked a little bit trappy, to be honest. I thought it was a difficult getting out stakes. If you're looking for consistency, though, look no further than Broughton's Parody. She's a mare who generally fills the frame, even though I think she's high enough in the handicap. As a result of that, she could be one to have on your side in the lucky last. So looking forward to a good card, 6 races, and I think it's definitely going to be Roger Charlton's night. Join me and Big Mac for all 6 races.
There are few sporting venues that can match the rich heritage and history of Ascot Racecourse. For 300 years, Royal Ascot has established itself as a national institution and the centrepiece of the British social calendar, as well as being the ultimate stage for the best racehorses in the world. Tradition, pageantry, fashion and style all meet in a glorious setting. The quality of the horse racing is simply outstanding, with nearly £4 million in prize money on offer and a total of 18 group races over a fantastic 5 days. And you can follow the drama throughout the week, only here on At the Races.
Hi everyone, good evening. As threatened, Big Mac joins me here at Windsor on curry night.
Well, there's a fantastic smell around here. Now, it's not just me, because you know what I smell like, but absolutely there's about 7 places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 or 8 places, free curries have been given out, and I love me curry.
Where's your pet pelican bib?
Well, I don't know about a few bibs and everything, but I like my spicy poppadoms. I love me Rogan Josh and all that thing. So
What we got here then?
Now, I demand some free curry. So, no, I demand some free curry. What have you got for me here?
Chicken or vegetable?
Chicken and vegetable, you fool. Not too much rice. No, take that rice. They always put lots of rice in, lots of ice in drinks, so they don't give you enough drink. Right, here we are. Come, yeah, that's all right. Pour it in. And a bit of veg. Come on, get on with it. Come on, I'm starving here. Well done. Give him a spoon. Good man. Now, isn't this fantastic? Coming racing. It's the Cookham Tandoori. There you are, Cookham Tandoori. And look at this. Doesn't this look fantastic? If you get the camera in, have a look here. I love a good Indian. There we are. God.
Is it good? Yeah, good. Right, well, don't speak in case you spit on me. Six races here tonight at Windsor. Feature is at 7:40. He's already spilling it, apparently. I tell you what, we'll leave you to eat, and we'll go and get some more news, and then you'll be back here with us shortly.
Oh, I was hoping it was going to be absolutely burning hot. There can be nothing more disgusting, can there, than watching Big Mac eat live on TV. Oh, it's a horrible thing. I apologise for those few moments that you had to endure. Now, the details for you at Windsor tonight. Ground they're described as good to firm. They have been watering. First race coming up 6:10 in about half an hour's time, through to 8:40. Non-runners, as you can see, in the 6:40 number 1, Elusivity, in the 7:10 Baron Spine, 15 Westwood. In the same race, number 16 Equilus Picture is out as well. In the 7:42, Elna Win. That's a terrific race at 7:40, the listed race. 9 Tropical Treat doesn't go either. And in the 8:41, Rowan Star and 4 Robbie Bobby won't be right.
Welcome back to Windsor. Steve Drown looks like he's got a really nice book of rides tonight. And Steve, start off hopefully with a winner. We heard Roger Charlton this morning on Get On was keen on Tierman Legend.
Yeah, he's nice at horse. He's got a good attitude. You know, there's no reason why he shouldn't improve again for his last win. Obviously, it wasn't against. It didn't look much of a race, but he couldn't have done it much better. So it's a step up in grade, but I would be hopeful.
Is he a nice horse to deal with?
Definitely, yeah. Whatever you do, he's bomb-proof. He was a little bit slow out the gate last time, but I think he would have learnt for that. But he travels very well, and plenty of pace to suit him, so it's all pluses.
You've been out on the track to have a look at the ground. It's really windy here. What's that done to conditions?
I think it's going to be lovely ground, nice fast ground. It walks good to firm. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a shade on the good side, but I think good to firm be fair thing to call it. The wind's just behind it, sort of over the right shoulder, so I don't think it affects us too much.
Moving on, Promenadia in the 6:40, the mile handicap debut for her. Doesn't look the most generously treated.
No, I mean, he hasn't took no chances with it anyway. But, she's ran away. The actual race at Warwick didn't look much of a maiden, but it's actually working out okay. A few placed horses have come out and ran well since. So, again, I think the track has suited a step up to this trip, a help. So, again, quietly hopeful.
Okay, good luck with her. Now, I'm afraid, I hope I haven't put the mockers on bated breath. He's my nap today. He couldn't do any more than win last time at Haydock.
No, I would hope he's got a good chance. Obviously, the Haydock race, you know, on paper looked quite a good race, but he did it quite nicely. Obviously, it's hard to know what the form is because a few first-time outers and, you know, whether the favourite didn't run quite up to his race. But certainly he's done it well, and, you know, he does show a bit at home, so we're hopeful that this is going to be a step up for him.
He's a horse who can meet a little bit of trouble, but a small field like this is 2 out, so just 8. Would you be hopeful that that won't be the case tonight?
Hopefully, we rode him a little bit different at Haydock and let him do his own thing, and it seemed to suit him, you know, so I can't see why we wouldn't do that now. So, you know, obviously you need a bit of luck in whatever race you ride in, but I would hope for you negotiate him.
And of the other runners, which ones would you wish weren't in the field?
All of them, obviously. Obviously, Evans odds now and then can pop up. Probably one Triple Aspect. You know, he's got good form. He ran well last time. I would imagine he'd be the one. You know, but I would think everyone's looking at us and thinking, you know, we're the one to beat.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, because we were fighting against the PA system, I didn't quite catch what you said about the wind. Which way is it blowing?
It's actually coming over our right shoulder, so it's basically behind us, maybe a little bit to the right. So shouldn't really affect us.
Right. Well, good luck tonight. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Certainly on the rails here. Welcome to Royal Windsor, the betting jungle. Not too crowded. A lot of punters are lining up, waiting to pounce on the bookmakers for the opening race. And we've got John Banks betting here, and now put Tierman Legend in at Earol 6-4. Has been a 5-4 chance as money's come for this Lord of the Shadows. I fancy that. 7-2 into 3-1 Lord of the Shadows, out to 3-1 Starflyer, and 8-1 against Boomerang Bob. But we've got Jeff. You've been here for many years. How are these evening meetings at Windsor? They used to be absolutely frenetic.
They did used to be frenetic. These days they're a little bit quieter, but still a great buzz. A great buzz.
What are you going to do at the opening race as Tierman Legend?
Definitely going to take on Tierman Legend at the price at 5-4. The horse that's been weak in the market all day has been Starfly, out from 5-2 to 3-1, and there's money for the Hammond horse as usual. Lord of the Shadows, Hammond horse is very popular.
You can see why Starfly is being opposed. The only filly taking on the boys, but that Tierman Legend told Matt Chapman on Get On this morning, Roger Charlton, his best bet of his 4 runners today.
Well, Roger Charlton's a great trainer, and he's sending one here, so that's unusual in itself. But the Hammond horse will be popular because basically money for Hammond horses at Windsor is normal.
So it's stuck into the favourite anyway.
Correct.
Right. Looking ahead, the best named horse of the whole card is My Mum Says I'm the Best in the 7-10. Great name for a horse and a great chance on the book.
Fantastic chance, and it's been backed all day. 3-1 into 6-4. Has been the price. So it's been hammered all in the offices this morning and on the exchanges. So,
as a rails bookmaker, when horses have been really back to big prices, of course, you come here and then you can get them at a much shorter price than they should be.
Well, clearly, what we're trying to do is get the horse at rock bottom prices, because that's how we will make money. If we're laying at the top of the market, then obviously we're in a much more invidious position. But if we can get it at the bottom of the market now at 6-4, we'll be very lucky, and I'll be laying it.
Yeah, but you really do fancy My Mum Says I'm the Best.
I fancy it slightly, but I will be against it, John. It's not my main fancy of the night.
Money coming right in front of our nose. Fantastic.
The last race of the evening will be my fancy, a horse called Evident Pride, and there's been some real warm money for that this morning. It's been well back from 11-2 into 7-2. There's a small rule 4 on that 11-2, but it's still been some good warm money for that Evident Pride. And on my figures, I've got it well clear of the rest of the field in the last, so that's my tip.
So you go on your own form figures and what the faces are backing. What's your guidance?
Well, basically, it's only my own judgment, really. I mean, I'm mindful of exchanges, but not much more. They're not going to rule my existence, because otherwise, simply if everybody's going in exchange price, we won't take any money. We'll all be doing the same thing. And I'll have one horse I'll be against this evening, one horse, and that is Bated Breath.
In the hot favourite there.
Hot favourite 5-4, and this will be a massive stand. This will be the one I want to be against tonight. It's 5-4 right now, but I have 4 horses against it on my form.
And Triple Aspect, of course, won last year.
Indeed it did, Willie Haggis's runner. So I will be, in fact, I have 4 good runners. I'll just set out to lay one horse and stand back and look on.
That's Jeff Banks, and Banks says banker, lay, he's saying lay, Bated Breath in the 740. Alex has tipped up Bated Breath. I go along with a form judge here, the man who knows, Jeff Banks. Bated Breath, lay it, don't back it.
Well, it's all about the prices, isn't it? And the price we're expecting of Bated Breath, as Jeff was saying, they're very, very short indeed for what looks a really hot-looking listed race. But great to have a bookie on with an opinion, as he says. It's all about what he thinks rather than what everybody else is doing on the on the exchanges. Now, they're betting on the 6-10 here. Talk about what people think. Jimbo's been on, who's a big hitter as regards the emails. When he fancies one, he likes to tell the world he is all over this favourite. He's had the word, ladies and gentlemen. He's had the word from Newmarket, apparently, about Tierman Legend, who is 6-4 in from 13 to 8. 11-4 Lord of the Shadows. 100-30 Star Fly. And then 8-1 Boomerang Bob. 16, still a bit of money for the only maiden in the field, Charles the Great, for Andrew Boarding. And likewise, they're shortening the outsider, the Dancing Lord, 40s in to 33. So they're on their way down to the start. We'll hear more, no doubt, from Big Mac and Alex. Tierman Legend is favourite here in picture 5-4 now, shortening up for this Windsor opening race. 100-30 Lord of the Shadows and Starfly. It's 10-1 bar. Let's rejoin Big Mac and Alex.
Yeah, very, very strong, this Tierman Legend, Mac, and I highlighted this one this morning. Doesn't take a genius to pick that one out, but Roger Charlton was very keen on him when he spoke to Matt on Get On this morning. I
mean, quite a few of these could be Ascot bound if they can win here. So to win here, Tierman Legend, Roger Charlton was saying that would be an Ascot possibility, provided it could win here. Also, I thought a bit of a chance of Lord of the Shadows. Both of his runs have been here, favourite both times, and his time was much faster than Starfly's when Starfly made all the running here. And Starfly, a filly against the boys, I'm always against those. So I think Lord of the Shadows could give Tierman Legend a big run.
Yeah, it was interesting because I spoke to Harry Herbert after Starfly won here 7 days ago, and he said she's a really nice filly and she looks like a really nice filly, but he wasn't entirely convinced that she would be Royal Ascot material, so that just gives you her level.
I think it is, once again, in America, they never would do it, and sort of, you know, as a small weight concession, I just can't have the girls against the boys, so go against that. But Tierman Legend, clearly, Roger Charlton thinks is his best bet of the 4. Boomerang Bob, we don't know much about Boomerang Bob. His only run was a fair run on the all-weather last time, so that could be pretty good. So it's an interesting heat for Ascot possibilities.
I tell you what was interesting about that Boomerang Bob. John Hills, who's here tonight, trains that one, and by his own admission, he said the horse was a rare first-time out winner for the stable. They normally let them find their feet, so I think he must be a very decent individual to be winning first time out as well. But it's got to be Tierman Legend for me. What about you?
Well, I'll go for Lord of the Shadows just to be against you.
Good, good. Let's go and find out what Mike Catamole thinks. He's the man in the commentary box this evening. Good evening to you, Cat.
Yeah, Tierman Legend for me as well. Last one in, they're all set here, ready to go. And they're off, racing over 5 furlongs here. The EBF Peter Pegg 80th birthday novice stakes, and Starfly the filly in the pale blue jacket is the first to begin. Pressed on the outside, the white face yellow jacket of Lord of the Shadows. Between horses, Charles the Great's noseband running very quickly. The Dancing Lord is just tucked in behind them. Then comes Boomerang Bob, and held up last of all is the favourite Tierman Legend, just angling for a run then as they sprint through the halfway point then and come down towards the elbow here. And Starfly has lost the lead to Charles the Great on the near side, who shows just in front of Lord of the Shadows, pushed along though, running a bit green. Behind them, Starfly, wide Boomerang Bob. Tierman Legend is storming home down the outside under pressure. The only one that can't win is the Dancing Lord. Almost 4 in a line here as they pass the furlong marker. Charles the Great determinedly by half a length has beaten off Richard Hughes on board Lord of the Shadows. Tierman Legend won't be winning. Boomerang Bob running on, but Charles the Great very gamely here goes on to score. Bit of an upset in the opener. Very tight for second, Lord of the Shadows and Boomerang Bob. Tierman Legend was close up in 4th.
Well, John, we both got stuff there. We got stuff by Charles the Great, Andrew Balding's horse here, who'd had 1 run already. Jimmy Fortune Road in the colours of Kennet Valley Thoroughbreds. A big horse, this, and clearly improved for his debut.
It was a double carpet, 33-1 chance. It didn't make much of a show then. A terrific result for the bookmakers, because there was a keen betting heat down there when we were down there, and they took on the front 4. And this Charles the Great on the stand side, looking really, really strong and fighting, battling on, coming to try and attack it again is Lord of the Shadows. On the outside, that Tierman Legend had absolutely every chance, but couldn't go through with it. And you can see as well, nothing else really going to get in the blow at the really strong battling away. Look at this. There's Charles the Great. That's how bookmakers like horses to fight on. It looks as though
it's really close,
very close for second. Yeah, they were. It was a keen heat, and bookmakers got a right result getting this thing to come in. This Charles the Great.
Oh, good start for the bookies. Terrible start for punters. Here it is. Second. Dead heats for second between Boomerang Bob and Lord of the Shadows. So I think this will turn out to be a nice little novice stakes, Mac.
It will, yeah. I think they'll be very pleased with that. Clearly, it's really come on from his first run, but it wasn't fancied. Didn't seem to be fancied here at all as well. There didn't seem to be a Royal Ascot winner there, though, did it? I think Tierman Legend was very disappointed. It was last early, Tierman Legend was pulled to the outside by Steve Drown, but found absolutely nothing when it came to go through with the challenge. Lord of the Shadows did try and counter-attack. Boomerang Bob ran a really good race. There's one win on the all-weather now onto turf, so they'll be pleased with the way that ran. But there was head held high, this Charles the Great. Look at that, how bookmakers like this get a real rag like this. First race of the night, beaten everything off. Very few people going up to draw, and I can't believe people watching us on ATR. I bet none of you on ATR have backed this Charles the Great. You can't have sniffed that one out.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's one or two people who have backed it because 20's down to 12's Charles the Great, who, interesting enough, of course, was the only maiden in the field, having been beaten into 6th place on his first start at Ascot, but they weren't scared to take on the winners in this Novices Stakes, and they've been rewarded here. Kennet Valley Thoroughbreds, Andrew Balding and Jimmy Fortune, 12-1 in the end, and as you heard, the judge could not separate the second pair there. Boomerang Bob looking maybe a little bit more enthusiastic in the finish than perhaps Lord of the Shadows was. 9-1 Boomerang Bob and Lord of the Shadows 7-2, and all 6 ran at Windsor.
Well, 12-1 winner there, but this horse has shown a lot of speed. There's a juvenile course record here with this win, 58.69. But before we get totally carried away, Steve Drown said to us beforehand that the wind was coming over their right shoulder and it almost may be wind assisted.
I think they have moved the rails a bit as well to try and sort of get the better ground. But imagine the number of 5 furlong races they've had here with handicappers and all that, whether it's just the juveniles only, but some really fast juveniles have run here. Yeah. So although the race didn't look too much after the race, because this sort of rag won 100-8, 12-1, and the others were in a heap behind it, to break the juvenile course record can't be bad. Wind assisted, whatever it is, maybe it's better than some of us thought immediately after the race. We're wrong again.
He's wrong. 58.69 seconds is your time.
Unbelievable.
Certainly is. There you go. That's the latest news. We'll try and grab a word with Andrew Balding.
Thank you, Alex, and Big Mac. We maybe have a look back at that finish as well if we get a chance, because Richard Hughes, not quite sure what happened there with his ride on board Lord of the Shadows, but he either didn't get a clean run or he's just thought he's probably got second outright, and in the end, of course, had to share it. We're trying to have a look at that in a moment. 6 Lord of the Shadows is the horse in the blue and yellow colours there. We're going to run this for you now, and he will share second. The horse on the outside. Now, one or two you suggesting that maybe Richard Hughes has just taken things a little bit easy. Does he get a clear run through? Let's just have a look. The horse is maybe not helping him, to be quite honest, but let's just watch this inside the closing stages here. The winner's going on this side, Charles the Great. Now here, inside the final 100 yards or so, and Boomerang Bob in front at this stage. Lord of the Shadows, Richard Hughes trying to get him back on terms. Now he's put the whip down. He thinks he's going to ride this out hands, as indeed is Seb Sanders on the far side. Does he feel a little bit too confident? The horse is just pulling across, isn't he? He's ducking across to the centre of the track. So are we being a little bit ultra-critical to suggest that Richard Hughes could have done any more? That is how they hit the wire anyway. Dead heat for second between Boomerang Bob and Lord of the Shadows. So, a bit of a surprise in the opening race at Windsor this evening. Charles the Great in the dark colours, the white cap, the only maiden in this Novices Stakes, but a maiden no more. Jimmy Fortune bringing him through, and as you can see, gets the measure of his rivals. He was not unfancied either. A little bit of money at nice prices, and a winner here for trainer Andrew Balding with Charles the Great.
Start to the evening. A nice sort of horse.
Yeah, he is, Alex. We thought a fair bit of him, but he probably wasn't as tuned up as he should have been when he went to Ascot. And obviously, he's come on a lot since then, and we thought if there's any chance of him going to Royal Ascot, then we had to run in a race like this and see him win it, and we might take a chance at Ascot now.
Stupidly, I looked at him in the pre-parade ring and thought, oh, that's a nice horse, and then didn't do anything about it because he was 12-1, but he is a lovely looking horse. Will he improve again?
I'd like to think so. Funnily enough, John Reid, who wouldn't be a bad judge either, he came up to me beforehand and said, can he run as fast as he looks? And I said he can at home, but we want to see it on the track now, which, you know, it was just nice seeing. I gather it might have been a 2-year-old track record.
It was a course record, yeah, juvenile course record, I think 58.69.
That's good. You know, he's not short of speed, and we'll certainly look at going to Ascot now.
What race will you look at Ascot?
Probably either of the 2 5-furlong ones, but Nick Robinson, who runs the syndicates, has seen a few more Ascots than I have, so I let him make that decision.
Nice one, Andrew, well done.
Thanks.
Now, they're the runners coming out for the 6:40 race at Windsor. That's Swain in Stockwell, the 13 horse on the card. Now going down without any problems at all. It's 9 to 4 the field here, putting on the style. It's a race Richard Hammond has done really well in recent years, and this is favourite back this morning at bigger odds, 9 to 4 at the moment. Obsession is second choice for Jeremy Lasida, 3 to 1. Then Promenadia for Roger Charlton. No joy in the first race, of course. Will they get a result here? 9's down to 8's, 10's Control Chief, 12 to 1 Storm Runner, and 14's and bigger the remainder. Alex has caught up with George Margerson, trainer of Storm Runner.
Welcome to the paddock here at Windsor. Caught up with George Margerson, who's just saddled Storm Runner, probably appropriately named in this one, George.
Well, I think you'll need a bit of a storm behind him at this rate. I mean, it's the first race was a track record, wasn't it, a 2-year-olds?
Yeah.
But I think it's the wind, as much as anything, it tells you what it's like. I thought it was just going to be up north, but it's not good here. I wouldn't really going back by the boat.
No, I don't know how popular that's been tonight, I have to say. What about this horse stepping back up to a mile tonight?
Well, he's got a furlong and a half further than last time, and he stays on well. But also, it's a flat spot, which worries me around Windsor. I'm just worried he's going to hit the flat spot just at the crossover and get caught out. But as I said to Philip, I said whatever he does, he'll be finishing at the end. He'll be going on, you know. Yeah. So I'm hoping he's going to step up again. He's a nice horse and he's going to go forward. And I think this is probably his trip. Yeah. He might get a bit further. So I'm hoping to go a real good pace. We're drawn nice, and I just think we've got Jeremy Nazidas to beat. Yeah. And I know Mr. Hammond fancies his a little bit, so it could be a nice race. But the form was frank the other day. The winner of the maiden went and won at Newmarket, and the handicapper kindly put me up £2 with it. So, which I didn't need actually, because he's plenty high enough. But looking at the form of these, most of them are higher than they should be. So, I think we'll give him a good shout.
Well, I see your jockey's here, so I'll let you go and talk to him. Good luck.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Still 12 to 1. That was recorded a few moments ago, of course. Those words with George Margerson, the runners on their way down. Bit of money for a Paparetto, you can see here now, into 12 to 1 from 16s. The favourite is solid at 9 to 4. Richard Hughes picking up a fair bit of criticism for his ride in the first race when losing outright to second place. Eventually a dead heat, of course, for second place. By the way, Matthew emails in. I'm pretty sure for play spot purposes it will be the lowest race card number that will count for second place. I think Boomerang Bob will qualify for your play spot and not Lord of the Shadows. 9 to 4's just become 5 to 2 putting on the style. Loading up well underway here at Windsor. 9 to 4 putting on the style. 5 to 2 Obsession. 8 to 1 Bar. I think we can get a quick word, can we, with Alex and Big Mac before they jump?
Yes, a little bit of money there for the 10-horse Paparetto. That one coming 16s into 11s. What do you think, Mac?
Well, fascinating. 10 of the 12 runners are maidens. They never won a race. The only winners are Obsession number 2 and number 6 Chalesmore. You can see while they're backing this favourite here, this putting on the style and Obsession. But I must say, I did like Storm Runner, and then heard you with George Margerson. That was a nice run at Leicester. I thought at a price, I wouldn't be taking. You're betting odds on the front two, and with a race with mainly men. Oh, my God, some trouble here.
That is number 9.
So that'll be taken out.
That is George's runner.
Oh dear, Storm Runner. So that won't run now. Quite right, the BHA rules. Once a horse does that, you don't know if he's injured himself or mentally how he feels. So I just hope I don't think he'll run. And I think
they're allowed to, are they?
Absolutely right. So well done, the BHA. Looking after the punter's interest. Disappointing. He has been withdrawn.
Yeah.
And there'll probably be a 5 pence in the pound deduction unless they reform the market here. They haven't got much time to go and do that. But the money has been for Obsession and putting on the style. And of course, you're betting big odds on. You're betting about 11 to 8 on those two. I wouldn't be keen on doing that.
Okay, all set.
And they're off. They're racing. Charles Moore restrained as they left the stalls. The sportingbet.com handicap. Promenadia, though, has been rushed up into an early advantage, putting on the star, racing second. They went without Storm Runner, who was playing up in the stalls and was withdrawn. Racing in third, the green jacket of Control Chief, as they go at a decent clip here through the first couple of furlongs. Whoop Whoop lying fourth in front of Red Mercury. Obsession in the pale blue is restrained in sixth place, followed by Royal Reverie. And then the sheepskin noseband of Swan in Stockwell. Evergreen Forest white jacket held up with Charles Moore, and Paparetto is last of all. And they're going a real old clip here as they turn back into view from the stands. Racing towards the final 4.5 furlongs here. Approaching the halfway point. Promenadia, Steve Drown out in front. Putting on the style is in second for Richard Hughes. Stalking them on the outside then is Control Chief and Jim Crowley, Whoop Whoop and John Fahey getting a nice toe as they leave the four behind them. Red Mercury's red cap on the outside of Obsession, who's just being niggled along now by Ryan Moore on the inside rail. On the wide outside, Royal Reverie, the yellow cap is just beginning to make an effort, start to get close to the white-faced gelding. Then behind these, trying to make a run from off the pace still is Swan in Stockwell, who starts to pick up. Red Mercury's got no room behind runners on the inside as they race up to the final two. Putting on the style is really in charge here just about from Promenadio, battles back, and then on the outside Royal Reverie, a big danger under strong pressure. Whoop Whoop is being angled for a run on the far side. A furlong to go, and it's Royal Reverie taking on, putting on the style. The two of them locked together in battle. Whoop Whoop back in third as they race up towards the line. It's a tight duel here, putting on the style, Royal Reverie and Royal Reverie just from putting on the style. Whoop Whoop is back in third, fourth Home Swan in Stockwell, fifth Evergreen Forest.
Wow, another close call, but the winner is number 7, Royal Reverie, who's just struggling to get around that bend there, having pulled up under Adam Kirby. It's been a good couple of days for Adam Kirby. Rode the winner of the German 2000 Guineas yesterday on X Celebration, and back here in the winner's enclosure at Windsor, putting on the style. Well fancied the second there, and Whoop Whoop's run a great race for Lee Westwood and Chubby Chandler in third.
I think some of the emails and facts have been very unfair on Richard Hughes in the first. They certainly can't criticise the ride here he gave to this putting on the style, who was in front, and Hughes did absolutely everything he could to try and hold him. They came together. It was neck and neck all the way, and Adam Kirby just get this Royal Reverie in front. His last two handicap runs have been on the all-weather off this mark of 69, so the handicapper hadn't really relieved Royal Reverie, but maybe turf is the answer for him, and he battles on really well. No blame for Hughesy at all. It's the kind of race the bookmakers say, well, they're betting odds on the front two. 10 of the 12 of them were maidens. We'll take a chance, and they've got a result with his Royal Reverie.
Well done to Walter Swinburne, because his horse has really hit form recently. Wins by a head and 3.5 lengths there, your winning margins. But really strong rides from both the front two there. 1 minute 42.82 your winning time. 1 minute 42.82.
Inverse.
And let me just see how that compares. 1 minute 42.82. It's just slower than standard on this occasion, but I think, you know, on the sprint course here, the wind's behind them, and that's why we got the good time in the first.
But it's always a difficult thing when you have 3-year-olds and 10 of the 12 are maidens. The bookmakers say, well, if they want to bet odds on a couple of these, Obsession and Putting on the Star, good luck to them. Putting on the Star could have won. Obsession was one of the first ones beaten, really under pressure a long way out, as the cat called. But it's a kind of race that you look round, and horse a lot of improvement in them. You don't know too much about them, all weather form. It's a difficult race to get involved with, and I think, you know, on the prices, you would go against the odds on too, which they got and done.
Yeah, well, it's proving to be a pretty good start for the bookmakers. I wonder if we can claw a bit back before the evening is out. Let's go confirm those SPs.
Thank you, Alex. 14-1 the winner, but you're going to have a little bit of that clawed away, I'm afraid, as well, because there is a rule 4 of 5p after Storm Runner was taken out, of course. Runner up there, Putting on the Style, 9-4 favourite. I thought there would have been a lot of damage in running, but nothing worse than about 1-2 for the in-running players. Putting on the Style, it's bad enough, mind you, and Whoop Whoop in third, 16-1 in the 640. Must correct something I said earlier regarding the play spot. I'm delighted to say I got it wrong, because in a dead heat, both horses, both the dead heaters for second, do go through, even though there are only 6 runners in the race. It would have been grossly unfair, of course, if only number 1 Boomerang Bob had counted and Lord of the Shadows hadn't, but thankfully they both go through, so that's fantastic news as regards the play spot. Sorry for getting that wrong earlier. Now, Adam Kirby's had a winner, of course, this evening for a yard that's in very good form, that of Walter Swinburne. Royal Reverie took the 640, a somewhat surprising winner at Windsor. The jockey has been speaking to Alex.
Well done, Adam. A really close call there, but you just edged it.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, I had a poor draw and ideal that we wanted to go forward, but there's plenty of pace on, so I just took my time in him a little bit. And to be fair, he took me into the race. He's done nothing wrong, you know.
Yeah, it looked like a competitive race, so a nice one to get under the belt.
Yeah, it's competitive, you know, and you know, to be fair, the Hammond thing, it took a bit of getting by, but to be fair to him, he stuck his head out, and I think he's won well, you know.
Yeah, it was good. Well done to you there. Quick word about Ivory Silk. I quite fancy her in the next.
Yeah, she'll have a chance, you know. Just hopefully she likes a bit of room when you come for a run on her, but if she gets that, she'd have a chance, you know.
Yeah, a couple of other rides later. What's the point? Never run before.
Yeah, I want to miss the Swinburnes. You know, first time out is, you know,
Yeah, see what happens with that one. I just have to ask you about X-Celebration yesterday. Well done, first classic win. What did that feel like?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, you know, I had a good day, and you know, it was a good experience, and. But, you know, it's nice to ride a good horse. He made it easy for me. He took me round, and you know, when the gaps come, he picked up well. You know, I was really pleased with him.
Yeah, I mean, he ran an absolutely cracker at Newbury as well.
He did. He ran really well there. You know, to take Frankel off the bridle. You know, I thought he was quite special then, and you know, I think I don't think he was quite tuned. You know, yeah. So he's improved a lot.
And as a rider, what does it feel like to get that classic out the way?
Yeah, good.
Good. Well done.
Thanks a million.
Welcome to the Windsor paddock. The horse in shot there is My Mum Says I'm the Best. Gary Moore and Ryan Moore teaming up with this horse, who won over 6 furlongs at Goodwood last time off a mark of 70, rated 75 today. That was a first win at the 10th attempt for this horse, and really strongly fancied tonight as well. Can't really get too much of a look at him. Fortunately, it's drizzling here. It's a bit mizzly and drizzly, and they've just left the sheet on this horse, but striding out nicely, looks good in his coat. And obviously fit after 3 runs. He had a long break, and then 3 runs back since then, and then just getting off the mark last time out. So My Mum Says I'm the Best, the obvious one here, but we've thought that about a few runners here at Windsor tonight, and it hasn't quite worked out that way. One that I quite like, and I'm going to try and spot it now, and amongst all of the other horses in the paddock, is number 2. Not proving very easy to spot, but when we do see it, I'll point it out. That's Ivory Silk. She's a mare trained by Jeremy Gask. He's got a couple in this, and of course Adam Kirby, we just heard from there, he takes the ride. There we go, number 2 directly to the right there. Just we've got it. There is number 2. Looks fit and well, this mare. She's been kept busy. She's won 5 races from 43 starts, consistent as well. All her 5 wins though have come on the all-weather. I wouldn't be too worried about that though, because she has run well on the turf as well. Jeremy Gass got his team in good form. He had a good winner on Saturday actually, Anne of Kiev, who actually won this race last year, ironically, won at Haydock. I think it was Haydock for him. He also had a decent placed horse as well. So the team, having had a little quiet spell, they're now back in really good form. So that one could go well. I quite like the look of that.
Winner all right.
But of course, there's been plenty of money for My Mum Says I'm the Best.
16 to
Silver
1,
Wind,
12 to 1, and 14 to 1. Number 5 is your 5 to 2 favourite. Your total dividends for the 3rd race to win.
With the blinkers on, 7 wins from 66 starts, £6 higher for a latest win. Had a really busy year, but sustaining that good form. Never won back-to-back races though, which is a little bit of a concern for that one. There are a couple of 3 non-runners in fact in this. Number 1 Baron Spy, 15 Westwood, and 16 Aquilius Pictor. Another one worth a mention. Another one we need to try and spot if we can. Let's have a look at Desert Strike, number 11. This is Spot the Horse in the Busy Paddock. It's a good game. Can't see it actually. I wonder if it might, a couple have gone down early actually. I wonder if it might have gone down to post early. Stevie G worth a quick mention. That's number 12. I'm sure that one hasn't, oh no, that hasn't gone down early. That is just about to go past the exit to the paddock there. Another one with headgear on number 12. Still £2 higher than when winning last time in July last year, but I think could run well for Ian Williams. Steve Gray, the owner there. Ryan Clark taking £5 off that horse's back. McDillan, wouldn't mind mentioning that one, number 9, if that hasn't disappeared. Let's see if we can spot number 9. No, proving fairly tricky to spot now, but we'll try and find them for you, and you'll certainly have a little look at them maybe on the way down to the post. I think probably the best thing to do is go and see if the money has continued to come from My Mum Says I'm the Best. Here's the betting.
Oh yes, they're absolutely loving this one, Alex. My Mum Says I'm the Best. 7 to 4 was available, but that's disappeared. It's 13 to 8 as per the opening show. Of course, the form's been well and truly frank from his win last time. 6-1 Silver Wind, 15-2 Ivory Silk, just shortening up a half a point. There also some money for Soap Wars. First run for a new stable, 12s from 14s. Stevie G on the same mark, then 16s and bigger the remainder. But all the interest here. Horse number 8, My Mum Says I'm the Best, out of stall number 1. They're on their way down to the start then for the 7:10 at Windsor. We'll be back again. My Mum Says I'm the Best. Still 13-8. Did go as short as 6-4. 6-1 Silver Wind. Ivory Silk is now 7s from 8. Soap Wars at 12s with Stevie G and 14s. Bar those. She's still got a couple of minutes before that gets underway, which means we've got a chance to tell you about an opportunity to win a weekend break for 2. This is at the end of next month, 25th, 26th of June. You'll get a couple of nights accommodation at the McDonald Hotel. You will also get a wonderful Windsor Racegoers River package for both days, not just the one day, but both days, and return transport to Windsor Racecourse as well. To enter, you'll need to go to the website, allthews.attheraces.com. Answer this question: who won the Windsor Hill Stakes on 3 consecutive occasions? A. Adilabad, B. Annus Mirabilis, C. Nahif. Do not give it away, Alex or Big Mac. Do not give it away. You've got to go to the website to enter.
Oh, I was just about to blurt it out. Saved by the bell.
You big know-all you are.
I'm going to go with Ivory Silk in this one. What about you?
Very hard to beat this favourite. My Mum Says I'm the Best. Great name for a horse, by the way, isn't it? Awful for the commentator, having to do 6 syllables every time he commentates. My Mum Says I'm the Best. Yeah. But that form, really, a good one is standing up. It's up £5 for that, but it's still £5 lower than his top handicap mark. So in other words, is not badly treated by the handicapper. Ranmore aboard. Clearly, it's the horse they've all got to beat.
Yeah, 18 characters you're allowed in a name, and this one's 18 with no spaces.
Yeah, but having 6 syllables to it. My Mum Says I'm the Best. Poor commentators. It gives them time to breathe and think and see what's going on. Yeah.
This Ivory Silk I mentioned down in the paddock, Jeremy Gask trains, and his yard has come back to form. They had a nice winner at the weekend, big winner at Haydock. What about any of the others?
Well, just going to Ivory Silk for a moment. Adam Kirby and the Racing Post signpost points this out. 2 for 2 for Adam Kirby. With other riders, it's 3 from 41. So clearly Adam Kirby really has got to understand and like this Ivory Silk. She likes him, so you can see why there's some money for Ivory Silk number 2.
Certainly can. And what about some of the others? Silver Wind had quite a busy year, but been consistent.
Yeah, it's £9 for 2 wins from its last 4 starts, so the handicap is beginning to get a grip on it. It's got a fair chance, and it should run a big race, but the handicapper up £9, a fair hike for a couple of wins.
Alan McCabe also has Desert Style and Desert Strike, I should say, another one with a chance.
Yeah, there's a bit of money for that, 16 or 14-1, but all 7 wins, 6 of them at 5 furlongs, have been on the all-weather.
11-1 now.
Yes, well, so there is some money for that, but all-weather form for Desert Strike.
What about McDillan, first run of the season?
Yes, only winning 15 starts was 2 years ago at 5 furlongs and a Sandown maiden. The thing in favour of this number 9, McDillan, falling down the handicap. So the best chance he's ever had of the weights is as McDillan number 9.
Stevie G.
Stevie G, yes, I think he's the kind of horse that you would look for as a possibility. I think very, very hard. My Mum Says I'm the Best. I think that ought to win for Ranmore.
Yeah, I think it's the obvious one. I just quite liked Ivory Silk when I looked at her this morning. Hope she can run a big race, but it does look like it's going to be fairly difficult to beat this favourite. But we said that, haven't we, in the last couple of races, and that's not proved to be the case.
And he's drawn 1 on the far left of the picture. Cracking good draw too.
Yeah, certainly is. The lower the draw nowadays, the better, as the rain comes down. But the last one's going forward. Let's go and join Kat.
It's back, and they're off and racing. Desert Strike just pitched forward on leaving the stalls there. My Mum Says I'm the Best wasn't the fastest into stride either. Pretty quickly away, though, was Go Nanny Go, who's on the inside. Then also showing up prominently is Tubby Isaac, sheepskin noseband. Down the centre, Soap Wars in the black jacket has rise up there too. Sarah's up the grey, just alongside Quasi Congaree, and wide outside is Sun and Egg, tracked there by McDillan. In the middle of the field then is Desert Strike. At the back of the field, My Mum Says I'm the Best is held up towards the inside there, the red and grey stripes. Stevie G with a good position on the outside is in the orange colours. Shuffled along just behind these then is Slugger O'Toole, who's trying to get a blow in as well. They're racing up towards the final quarter mile here. And it's Soap Wars Black Jacket in front from Go Nanny Go on the near side. Mac Dillon is trying hard. Quasi Congaree. Stevie G down the centre is also staying on under a bit of pressure too. Is Ivory Silk, who's playing her cards late down the centre of the course. But look at this one go here. Soap Wars has really opened up inside the final furlong and will just about make every yard here. Soap Wars is far too good for George Baker. Stevie G second. Ivory Silk together with Mac Dillon for third and fourth. Maybe leave that one to the judge. And Slugger O'Toole bearing down on those behind those at the finish.
Well, goodness me, the punters are having a bit of a shocker. The bookmakers will be rubbing their hands together. Soap Wars wins. First start for Hugo Palmer, first run for 217 days. George Baker had quite an easy time on this one.
Very hard to find this, wasn't it? Though it is tumbling down the handicap. That's the great thing. The handicapper gave it his best chance in a long, well, ever, best chance ever. All its 3 wins have been on the poly track at Dundalk. So coming over here, ex-Jamie Osborne. Jamie Osborne used to train it. The handicapper gave it a big chance. I think the draw was very, very good for My Mum Says the Best, provided it gets out. It didn't get out, and Rambo really had nowhere to go in the red colours. It is running on late in the end, but never really got in a blow. That's when the draw was a disadvantage in the end, because if you're drawn one on the inside, you've got to get out and be in the front rank at least, and it was almost last at halfway and couldn't really get through in the red colours.
Orange colours, Stevie G has run well in second, close for third. I'm hoping Ivory Silk might just have got there. She's run a fair race, but another one that's had to come wide.
Yes, I think it's the kind of thing that, that this Dundalk form, you didn't know much about it, and well, once again, when the handicapper really drops the horse, startlingly, as this has been dropped, here comes the third. Here comes the third. Third. Ivory Silk is third. Number 9 is fourth, that's McDillon. So Ivory Silk is third, so you're pleased with that, with fourth McDillon. Ran a nice race, Ivory Silk, but there was only really one horse in the race, so it was, and the handicapper won't forget this. But I wouldn't drop that. My Mum Says I'm the best. I think the race has not run to suit it. Rambo, nothing he could do with a whole wall of horses. Tried to weave his way through, but the horse didn't show too much with all that. Sort of, he wasn't able to stride out at any time in the race. So I'd ignore that run. For My Mum Says all the best. But Soap Wars is clearly on the upgrade, and the handicapper's going to jerk this one up quite heavily, I would have thought.
Oh, most definitely. There's your photo then for third. You can see the 2 horse just edging that by a very, very narrow margin. 3 lengths and a length. 1 minute 10.69 seconds is your winning time. So our big race is next. Let's confirm the SPs for that one.
And it was 12-1, Soap Wars. First run is, you say, for a new yard and, well, potentially well handicapped, or was well handicapped in the end, of course, and he does go well after a break. So he did have a few things going for him, and 1 or 2 got on. 12-1 Stevie G in second, and there's Ivory Silk in third, 6-1. 13 of them ran in the 7-10. So we've had 2 12-1 winners and a 14-1 winner at Windsor so far tonight. Not good for most of us. Now, another biggish price winner, Soap Wars, first run for Hugo Palmer.
Now, Soap Wars has just won what looked like a very competitive handicap. Pleased to say winning trainer Hugo Palmer joins us here in the winner's enclosure. Well done, Hugo. Was that a surprise or not?
Well, a relief more than a surprise. The plan was always to come here and to win. And but when you start, you can never be confident in a 16-runner handicap over 6 furlongs anywhere, let alone here. But I said to George, don't get in behind horses. Either sit on the outside or sit in front. Just get out and run and see where we go. I was just relieved that he was fit enough to keep there in front.
Yeah, it was really convincing as well. Someone just whispered in my ear, ask Hugo what he did with this horse over the winter.
Oh, well, he's the form's there in the book, but quite a long time ago. He's a 6-year-old with a lot of miles on the clock. And my vet's girlfriend, Kate Brydoak's a top-class dressage rider in Australia. And she rode dressage on him on the heath in Newmarket for about 6 weeks over Christmas when it was too snowy to do anything else. And that's really just switched his mind off it, and it put great muscle into his top line again. And so we've taken it from there. We sort of took him away from racing a little bit, and then brought him back.
I think it's a great idea. Really, really good move. And tell us a little bit about yourself. This was winner number?
This is winner number 2. The last one
first at Brighton?
First at Brighton 2 Mondays ago. I think we'll stick to racing on Mondays from now on. Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about your background.
I was Huey Morrison's assistant for 3 seasons, and then after that I went to work for Gay Waterhouse in Sydney in Australia. Came back just over a year ago and started training here in March.
And how many horses do you have?
I've got 14 in.
Brilliant, and always room for more.
Always room for more, yeah.
Well, that was a
Particularly
great...
like St. Paul's.
Exactly, well, that was a great advertisement. Very well done, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
Hayley, you're riding horseradish in the big race here. The rain is coming. Is it a bit late for this one?
It's actually not, because I was a bit worried it'd be on the quicker side, but the lads are all reporting that it's just on the quicker side of good, which is fine for him.
Oh, well, that's good. And stepping out of handicaps, but goodness me, he's been running well in some good handicaps.
Yeah, he's been running consistently well off 100 in big handicaps, and he was beaten by Hoofit last time at York, who I think is a really nice horse, progressive horse, and so he definitely deserves his chance in this company now.
Yeah. What do you make of the race? Who would you be most concerned about?
I think Baited Breath's probably the one to beat. Liberano as well, though. I think he's got a nice light weight for his style of running, her style of running, should I say? And so yeah, there's a few, but he's in good form. So
he's been running in these big field handicaps. If you can hear us over the PA system, what about a smaller field like this today?
It won't affect him. He's very versatile as to how you ride in big fields, small fields. He's just very easy and uncomplicated, so it won't make any difference. And I think I'm drawn 2 now because the 2 non-runners are on my inside, so that's good as well.
Yeah, they are, yeah, so that is good. Yeah, well, we wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
A lot of interest in horseradish as well. Only 4-1 in the betting here. Hayley's ride in this feature. It's a really good race from Monday night, of course. It's listed Leisure Stakes. Baited Breath into 2-1. The Night of Force disappeared. It didn't last long. Triple Aspect 7-2. Then Horseradish. Then Librano on 5s. And as you can see, the others all at very big prices. On our way back to Big Mac and Alex, had an email in, Alex, from Rob. He wants to know what your view is on lady commentators. Of course, there's this big thing going on to try and find a lady commentator, and quite simply, Rob wants to know, would you ever consider it?
Rob, no.
And the real trouble is, and I'm not sexist,
You're going to talk about the voices, aren't you?
Well, it is the voices, that women shrieking.
I don't shriek, John.
No, but in the commentary you have to raise the voice, and it comes, and you've got to ask what happened to poor Jackie Oakley. You remember the BBC Match of the Day, Jackie Oakley, there was press conferences, everything, and she really knew her football. Jackie, she knows her football, well prepared, but the voice so grating, you never hear of her now. So the BBC did try that, and I'm asking the question, they're testing people, they're going to have certainly to do either a race or a meeting at Ascot in July. Which are the commentators now that we have, and we've never had a better lot of commentators, who are they going to jock off? Is somebody thinking that a lady, we've got to have a lady for politically correct reasons, well, which man are they going to drop off? And that voice in a close finish, shrieking women, I can't stand bossy women, and it was seen that
Oh, well, you better go back to the car then, John Knight.
No, but you have to remember the fate of Jackie Oakley, what happened to her with the BBC, with all the promotion that she had. Wasn't her fault. She did a terrific job. She knew the game, but the voice just was unacceptable.
I think it would be okay if you find somebody with a nice voice, and obviously you've got to be good at what you do. But I remember once the comms going down at, I think it was, where was it, Fontwell, and I was at Fontwell, and I had to pick up, it was only like an 8-runner hurdle race or something, and it was an absolute disaster. I went, well, the Martin Pipe horse was in front, and yeah, he's jumped that, and let me have a look who's in second. That's hang on a minute, no, disaster.
I've had 1 or 2 disasters as a standing commentator, so we keep on. Anyway, let's go away with this now. We've got this Baited Breath here. Jeff Banks, who's on the rails bookmaker, it's Banks' banker tonight to get this thing beat, this Baited Breath. It was in as short of 5-4. It really has been opposed in the ring. It's 3 on Betfair. That's 2-1 now on Betfair. So we'll probably come into around 7-4. But there's been a lot of opposition among the bookmakers to this Baited Breath.
Well, I like Baited Breath. Yesterday afternoon, I picked him as my nap on Sky Sports News, and so I can't change my mind now. But to be honest, I don't think I'd want to.
No, I can see why you would stick with that. So it's you against Jeff Banks. The one I like is last year's winner, Triple Aspect. 13-8 favourite when it won last year, ridden by Liam Jones. It's now got Ryan Moore to ride it. They ran a tremendous race behind Delegator at York. And that was a really hot. That was a really
Duke of York
was a really hot race at York. Delegator could be one of the top sprinters of the season. Ran a really good race there. I think Triple Aspect is definitely going to be the one to beat. But it is drawn 8, and you do look for horses who have drawn lower numbers. So a bit of a disadvantage that for Triple Aspect. But last year's winner certainly will do for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's a good jockey and trainer combination. William Haggis and Ryan Moore staying on well, like you say, at York last time, and Actually won this last year on seasonal reappearance, but he went out to Dubai, had a run in Dubai, and then ran in that Duke of York, so slightly different preparation this time round. Monsieur Chevalier, for those that fancy this horse at a big price, hasn't run for 596 days because apparently he's had back problems. He's been off since October 2009. He looked really well in the paddock and didn't look like he needed too much tightening up.
Well, he was a smashing 2-year-old, wasn't he? Well, on the bridle. I remember when he won at Folkestone, we were down there for ATR, but he won at Folkestone. I think his first race as a 2-year-old. Won 6 races as a 2-year-old. Really was a smashing horse. Pelvic injury, taking him off the course. Be a terrific training performance if Hannah can get him back, having missed a season, to go and win a pretty hot race. This is what I call a snorter of a race. For Windsor here, £17,000 up for grabs. A really cracking good heat and some really classy performers. Another interesting one, of course, is Haley's runner, Ride Horseradish. Faded over 7 furlongs in the Victoria Cup at Ascot, so brought back 6 furlongs is the trip for Horseradish, and ran a cracking good race at York. So you can see why they fancy that. But this is just a bit higher class than a handicap, this Sporting Bet Leisure Stakes.
Yeah, it certainly is. There's some fancy entries for some of these runners if they were to put up a bold show tonight. Bated Breath is in the Golden Jubilee in the July Cup. Evens and Odds is in the Wokingham. Horseradish is in the Wokingham. Monsieur Chevalier, the King's Stand and the Golden Jubilee. Triple Aspect, the King's Stand and the Wokingham. Librano, the Golden Jubilee in the July Cup. So, you know, lots of fancy entries. This Librano is interesting, actually. Second in the Craven. I think it is hard for 3-year-old sprinters, but he does get a good weight allowance of £9 here. And for the first time this season, he's unpenalised for his Group 2 wins of last year.
Yes, you can certainly look at that Librano, but it is a 3-year-old taking on the older horse at this time of year. It is early for the 3 years. I like them in July and August, taking on the old horses with the weight concession. You can see why it's got a chance, but Daryl, going on the betting there, more support for Bated Breath.
It's a bit short for me now. I've got to say, 15-8. I think this is more open than that, to be honest. John, 7-2 Triple Aspect and Horseradish, Librano at 5s, and then 14-1 Bar. A little bit of money for Monsieur Joe, but only a smidgen, 28s into 25s.
Yeah, interesting race, isn't it? And I think that is short for Bated Breath, but I do fancy him to win this. We'll find out before too long. Just a couple left to come forward, including the favourite. Triple Aspect also yet to come forward, and he's one of the last forward to come forward with Triple Aspect. Here's the cat.
He's in, set, gates back, and they're racing for the sportingbet.com Leisure Stakes. Monsieur Chevalier in the yellow jacket, restrained as he left the stalls, will be held up for his usual late charge on his comeback. Stablemate Librano, though, has gone into the head of affairs with Evens and Odds on his inside. Triple Aspect's blue jacket is racing on the outside. Sitting handy as well is Bated Breath, and the pink cap just stalking these leaders. Also on his inside is Horseradish. Son of the Cat is pulling very hard behind, and then Monsieur Joe, and finally Monsieur Chevalier, who's given Librano, his stablemate, about a 5-length start then as the runners come towards the intersection, and they've got just over 2.5 furlongs left to run. Triple Aspect now being ridden along on the outside as Librano continues to travel well at the head of affairs. Bated Breath, though, going oh so strongly in his slipstream, now shaken up to draw level. Bated Breath now being asked to go and win his race. Librano battling, then on the outside Triple Aspect battling away. Monsieur Chevalier is leaving it oh so late, not really picking up. Bated Breath in front by half a length. Triple Aspect trying hard on the outside. Bated Breath is holding him though, and Bated Breath is too good and wins going away by about 2 lengths from Triple Aspect. Second Librano, and then Monsieur Chevalier stayed on and got 4th.
Good race. Bated Breath was a bit keen in the early stages, and I was chewing my fingernails, but he picked up well for Steve Drown.
We just couldn't get cover, and Steve Drown did his very best to sort of anchor him, and they managed to do that, and was in front, I think, longer than he wanted to be, but really was always holding Triple Aspect. Ran another really cracking good race, Triple Aspect, the last year's winner in a normal race. This Bated Breath is a better class horse, clearly, and Triple Aspect ran a tremendous race, but what an eye-catching run from Monsieur Chevalier. Last early on, it always does come from the way back, but a lovely first run back, and they show that the Hammond team really have not been given a really hard race, quite rightly by Richard Hughes. Horse not good enough, but it was a fine run, showing what can happen in the future with this Monsieur Chevalier. A lovely horse, and that after that pelvic injury, all the time off, staying on at the end, grabs 4th place close home. I'm sure they've got a good race out of that, and good to see the old boy back.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see him at Royal Ascot. He's duly entered there. Bated Breath wins by a length and 3/4. Let's find out that time for you. 1 minute. 9.89 seconds. I think that's a course record, actually. There's another course record gone. Yeah, because over these 6 furlongs, the course record up until now was 1 minute 10.06 seconds. So another course record. The wind behind them on the straight track.
That has helped. And this is a classy race for Windsor as well. So Bated Breath is a group horse. So and is certainly proving it here. He'll be Royal Ascot Brown. And the form line given a real boost because where Triple Aspect finished. It was a good heat, and also the 3-year-old Librano. I think it is hard for 3-year-olds, but he battled on really well for 3rd place. I think back to his own age group, that Librano. They've tried a longer trip with him here before. So I think Librano, that's another one to take. This is a really good race, and for Windsor, one of the best races we'll see at Windsor all year. You'll be here most of the time to see him. And the starting price coming in now for this Bated Breath, and it's returned 15-8 favourite Bated Breath. It was backed in from 9-4. It was much shorter earlier in the day. It was around a 5-4 chance. But the great thing is Jeff Banks' banker was to lay this Bated Breath. So we'll be talking to him after the next race to see how the Ghastly Rails bookmaker. He's had 3 terrific results so far, all the winners in double figures. But Bated Breath, he took that on and he got smashed to the ground. Great news.
Yes, and I hope that my supporters are on. I'm on a run, John. 1 out of 1.
No, but it is terrific though on Sky, and the publicity you give to racing on Sky. And Sky Sports News always giving the news first with the news. They were the first with the news of the jockeys being charged and that. And Sky News, fantastic. And having you as the marvellous tipsteress, we go and call you, and you've gone and sunk that Jeff Banks. Yes. Banks' banker has floored.
Let's hope that some of you got the 9-4. Here's your SP.
Yeah, well done, Alex. It was a great selection in, and absolutely the best, wasn't he? By a long way, Bated Breath, far better than the rest tonight. 15-8 favourite, Triple Aspect 7-2, and Librano in 3rd at 5-1. That was the 7:40. Couple more to come from there. Next race, though. Now, let's just have a look back at this race at Windsor. It was a very easy win in the end for Bated Breath. A few wanted to take on the Roger Charlton charge, but well, he was very, very impressive indeed. Monsieur Chevalier out the back. Remember, this horse hasn't run for 500-odd days. And 1 or 2 emails suggesting Richard Hughes might have got more of a tune out of him. You can see he's anchored towards the rear, but bear in mind, he's been off the track an awful long time. He's accepting that he's not going to get involved at this stage. Triple Aspect on the outside. William Haggis in 2nd, and then Librano eventually getting the 3rd spot. Now, the winning trainer, of course, is Roger Charlton.
Roger, very well done. We spoke to you this morning and you were hopeful of a big run, and he's done that nicely.
Yeah, I was really pleased. 1 or 2 things have been going wrong. Been hitting the crossbar and not winning races, but you know, he's a nice horse and he did it really well, I thought.
Yeah, small field, didn't quite maybe get the cover you'd have liked, and in the early stages he was tanking a little bit. Were you ever concerned?
He just missed it slightly, and Steve had to sort of position him so he didn't get sort of shut in. You know, you can get closed off here. And I think that just set him alike a little bit, and then he was fine, and then he settled, and then, you know, stretched away really. So it's a good effort.
Now, the course record went in the first race. It's gone again now, and before we were talking about the wind assistance, but it has dropped the wind.
It was really windy in the first race. I mean, it was almost everything was flapping and things. It has calmed down a bit, but let's hope it is a good time.
And obviously, I gather you really like what you saw, so what's the plan now? Will it be Royal Ascot with this fellow?
Well, I'd like to talk to the owner and see what he'd like to do with the horse. I mean, the options really are as to, you know, you jumping into a Group 1 race where it could be good foreign sprinters and all sorts of things, or going to a Group 3, like, you know, there's a race at Newcastle after Royal Ascot. We'll just have to see how the horse is, I think, and see what the owner would like to do. But he's gradually progressing, and you know, he deserves at some stage a chance to run in a Group 1.
Yeah, it's great to see him in the winner's enclosure here because he's so relaxed.
Yeah, he's a lovely shaped horse. He's a massive horse and very relaxed. He used to be quite keen. He's getting more relaxed, switched off at times. It's good.
I'll let you go and get your trophy. Well done.
Now the 8:10 on the way at Windsor. You can see riders just getting up for this maiden, where Kinneras is the favourite here. Ryan Moore, Sir Michael Stout 15-8 from 7-4. Autobahn 11-4. Plenty of money around for Omar Ladd for Sylvester Kirk. That is 9-2 from 7s. 1 Eric at 11. 16 Silver Bullet. What's the point? 18's Takana. Rich fancies that. He's Says he's good source, has found him a couple of good winners recently at nice prices. 20 to 1 Hoofprint in the snow and 33 to 1 Buzz. They've just gone two to the field here about the favourite. The money coming for Oh My Lad.
Yeah, the market was going to be interesting here, and Oh My Lad that has been well supported, Mac.
It has. There's money in from 7 to 1 into 9 to 2, backing it against the front two. This Omerad, both runs was 100 to 1 and 150 to 1 on the all-weather at Lingfield last autumn. So clearly they think they've got a lot of improvement out of that, and significant money there because there doesn't seem a huge amount of confidence for trying Kinnearias. Sir Michael Stout's only runner today, and that's drifted out to 2 to 1. And this Autobahn, 120,000 guinea yearling for Godolphin, very difficult at the start. Slowly away when it ran last time, hung badly at Doncaster, so at Newcastle. So you've got to think this Ahmedshad Tebe's got a really tough ride on this Autobahn. But if it was any good, it would go and win this. Some of these maidens at Windsor are pretty hot maidens. This certainly doesn't look like one of those.
No, it's interesting that horse Autobahn's got what's known as a grackle noseband, a cross noseband on today. I'm presuming they put that on the horse when he made his debut and ran across the track at Newcastle.
He was apprentice ridden that day, so they got Ahmedshad Tebe on now, and the strength of him could be a factor. But interesting to see what happens to him at the start. And the other one is this one Eric, number 12, the filly at the bottom. That's another one who was caused trouble at the start as well.
He's keen, the Godolphin.
Yes, you can see there, tis nothing you see. It's got what Frankel has that.
Yeah, the cross noseband.
Yeah, Frankel has that.
They're quite commonly used. I mean, they just give the rider a little bit more leverage, and they also help keep the mouth closed so the tongue doesn't get over the bit.
He did seem all right going down there, but the start will be absolutely crucial if Ahmedshad Tebe can get Autobahn out on level terms with the others. And as I say, a lot of money has been spent on it. Well, not for Godolphin, but 120,000 guineas. It needs to win. I think this looks a poor Windsor maiden.
Yeah, it doesn't look like one of the more inspiring ones, does it? Incidentally, Rafe Beckett won this last year with a horse called Nurture, so they'll be hoping that, is it Waneric or Honoric? I'm not sure how we're pronouncing her name, if they're hoping that she wins today. You can see Silver Bullet's another one that's quite keen going down there in the yellow colours, just throwing its head around a little bit for Jimmy Fortune. But this Oma Lad, he's been gelded, runs in those well-known colours of John Dudley, both runs over a mile on the all-weather at Lingfield and only just touched off, but 100 to 1 on his last start, so that obviously was a surprise.
It's a huge price, 150 to 1 on his other starts, as I said before, so they didn't think much of it then, but clearly they've looked at the field. It's coming to 4 to 1 now. So 4 to 1 against this Oma Lad, and they're looking. I think the opposition seems so weak against it. They think that, well, they got a reasonable chance. It wasn't a bad race that Kenny Rass ran. 7 to 2 now. It's come into. There's the one horse that's been back seriously in the race is this Oma Lad, but this Kenny Rass for Sir Michael Stout was in a desperate finish of short head and 2 noses when it was beaten in its last run. Sir Michael's kept it in the yard. So they must think something of it, and they've sort of picked a pretty soft race here.
Well, it was bred by the owner. Of course, Posidonus was a good horse of his, wasn't it? I think a few years ago. He had some really, really smart horses in the 90s with Paul Cole. And I guess they probably just want to give the horse a chance to maybe mature.
Well, I think that, but it's definitely, this is a minimum trip for it, 10 furlongs out of Pantra Celebra. This is going to be it's going to get longer in time. So whether the sharp Windsor circuit also will suit it, that's one of the problems you've got. And they've got Autobahn is being backed against it. Kinneras is the weak one in the market. Favourite in the papers all this morning because of Sir Michael Stout and that reasonable run that it had up at Newcastle. But you have to think that the horse is, well, it's weak and it's not really fenced in the betting. We have to ask you, Darryl, is all the money for this Oma Lad, is that the clue that punters should take now in as short as 7 to 2 from 7 to 1?
I say it's certainly a serious move, isn't it? As you say, a maiden that's definitely up for grabs here. It's had a couple of runs, albeit some time ago, but Autobahn is suddenly attracting his share of support, and you've got to say, for a horse who obviously was in the Derby and ran a promising debut, might be the more likely one for me. Autobahn at 9 to 4 now. Kinneras easy to back 11 to 4. One Eric, or we're not even sure, or on Eric at 8 to 1 from 11s. And then 20s bar those. So some big prizes out there for this maiden race. They are now gathering at the start. They should be going behind fairly shortly for the penultimate race on the Windsor card. It's 2 to 1 now, Autobahn. Money starting to speak about the Godolphin horse.
You see why they're backing this Autobahn, but the start's going to be very, very important here because the top and the bottom ones both have caused trouble at the start. So we'll have to see, especially how this Autobahn gets out. But it seems to be pretty cool and calm down there. But clearly it is a difficult ride. And Ajmejad Tebi, who has got a tremendous sort of reputation, deservedly so, as a number 2 jockey for Godolphin. If you leave out Mr. Barcelona, I'm not quite sure where he...
Well, quite high up the pecking order, I would think.
Exactly where he comes into it as well. But this is a fascinating ride to see if Ajmed can really get the horse on an even keel and balanced. And it does look, just looking at the pre-parade ring, it did look the pick of those going round. So that's the one I'll be on, but I'm really worried at the start. I'd like, if I had a bet, to wait for 100 yards to see that the thing has got out and is racing on an even keel.
I think that's a fair shout, actually. He's a really lovely big horse, like you say. He stood out in the pre-parade ring, and he's certainly a look at that one, that Autobahn. Whether he handsome is as handsome does. I tell you what's quite interesting. He's a half brother to a horse that won the Lingfield Derby trial for Aidan O'Brien. Do you remember Alessandro Volta? I don't know that he was that straightforward, was he?
No, I don't. You were fantastic. The knowledge that you've got, one of the Aidan O'Brien's ones, but the feature of the market definitely is this opposition to Kinneras of Sir Michael Stoute. It's out now to 3-1. There's something that there's clearly no fancy behind that at all, because that's a horse the public would look at. Michael Stoute, good run last time as a 2-year-old, and yet no money here at all against Autobahn. And also, of course, the really well-backed Omelad.
This Kinneras, Michael Stoute, has a really, really good strike rate, a very impressive strike rate with his 3-year-old maidens here at Windsor. And that's always to be noted, because obviously he sends one here that he thinks can win, but you'd be scratching around a little bit. The form hasn't worked out that well.
You have to worry really the form of the Sir Michael Stoute yard at the moment. Right, he's had some winners, but it's not really knocking them in time and time again. So you worry about the yard not really in top form. Carlton House, of course, won the Dante and is favourite for the Derby, so it hasn't affected Carlton House. But the stable isn't really firing as you would like to do it.
Well, let's have one last look at the market, because there's bits and bobs of money for a few there. Any changes?
9-4 out from 2's Autobahn, 11-4 Kinneras back in from 3's, 4-1 Omar Lad, and then 15-2 One Eric, and 16-1 Bar those.
Starrell, yeah, it's an interesting maiden. I don't think it's anything I'd like to get too involved with, I have to say, but you can just see that one trying Silver Bullet, just trying to get his head down under the stalls.
The start absolutely crucial here for the top and the bottom one.
Certainly is. Fascinating race, actually. Let's go back to the cat who calls home this 10-furlong median auction maiden stakes.
Thank you, Alex. What's the point? Walter Swinburne's runner. Having a good look at the gate. He's going forward now. Walter's going for a double tonight. Kinrias going in next for Ryan Moore. And then 3 to go. Noble Defender on Eric and Rowan Ridge. 2 to go. In goes on Eric, who showed a bit of ability at Warwick last month, or early this month. And then next will be Rowan Ridge. And they're set. They're off and running, racing away over a mile and a quarter. Star Rebel a little bit slow to get into stride here as they race off towards the intersection. Kinnaris got away to a good start though, and so too in the green jacket did the green jacket of Hoofprint in the Snow. Races together there just behind that one with Autobahn, who won't settle in the early part of the race as they go past the intersection. At this stage on Eric is just settling in behind Kinrias. Autobahn in 3rd place. Hoofprint in the Snow is still sitting pretty handily as well. Then just behind these pace setters is Rowan Ridge in the red jacket, green chevron. Noble Defender is next, Silver Bullet, and What's the Point? The 2 Swinburne runners in the middle of the field now as they take the point furthest away from the grandstands over on the far side of the course at this stage. And held up at the back of the field is Omar Lad and Star Rebel in the sheepskin noseband. Continuing around the far turn, then Kinrias in front from Hoofprint in the Snow racing second, on Eric the Grey third, Autobahn and Ahmed Ashtabi close up fourth. Rowan Ridge continues to travel well as they come back into view from the stands, racing on the inside of Noble Defender's white cap. Then comes Silver Bullet, What's the Point? The white face behind these of Dakana has always been out towards the rear quarter of the field, together with the lime green jacket of Take a Spin. Then comes Omar Ladd, just asked to pick up to the back of the field, and Star Rebel is being pushed along and seems to be struggling. They're about to come down towards the intersection then with 3 furlongs or so to go. Autobahn just tending to hang down the centre of the course a bit, then running around a bit as he comes to deliver his challenge. Kinrias on the near side is showing some purpose though, and now shaken up by Ryan Moore. Autobahn travelling quite nicely on the outside, but it seems very green between horses on Eric. Kinrias in front here showing more of a professional attitude as he comes up to the final furlong from Autobahn. On Eric continues to stay on in third, followed by Hooprint in the Snow, and Kinrias here will come home and get off the mark, having shown ability before, and win it pretty well in the end. Kinrias in front, on Eric second, Autobahn, and then Hooprint in the Snow, and staying on for fifth was Take a Spin.
Well, a few things to say about that maiden. First of all, the money on Omar Ladd's gone astray. Kinrias, well, professional, continues the great strike rate of Sir Michael Stout in these 3-year-old maidens. Autobahn would not be surprised to see that gelded before too long.
Well, it's a desperate ride, isn't it? What can Ajmejad Tebi do? The horse has got ability. Either you can say greenness, that was part of it, but it was wandering all the time, almost find a reason why not to race. But meanwhile, though a bit of a push and a bump that Kinrias did coming into the straight, ran more determined to get off in front and say, well, there's not much in this field, catch me if you can, and always held the rails and always going well. You thought with every chance Autobahn was driven by Ajmejad Tebi, but was never really racing on an even keel at all, was he? Wasn't really putting his head down, determined to win. And that one Eric did run on strongly, the grey, coming to try and get a challenge late in against Kinrias, but Kinrias and Ryan Moore, they had the rails, they had the speed to get to the lead from the front, and that was it. But in the end, as you say, what they're going to do with this Autobahn, whether they'll go hurdling in the end, but I don't think Godolphin will be keeping him too long. He's just too difficult to ride. I don't think Frankie will be too keen on getting aboard him.
You wouldn't mind if he was decent, would you, if he was difficult, but he, you know, he'll win races though.
2 1/4 and 3 1/2 lengths, but there's a horse that annoys you, that he looks good and he's got ability, but he's just not prepared to show, whether it's greenness, whether he's so immature that he needs more time. That's all you can say in his defence.
Well, he is a big horse.
He is, yes, and he was outstanding in the paddock, but it's just the kind of thing that, as we said, it was a soft maiden, the others were the strung out, they're not much good anyway. So, and the SB coming in now of this Kinrias, a big drifter in the market, of course, it's returned 5-2 in the end. They shortened him down. Actually, the officers came in for him and shortened him down. But this Kinrias, I think he's a very average horse. I don't think Sir Michael Stout will have huge ambitions with this.
But Darryl, we should always listen to the stats, shouldn't we? And Sir Michael Stout in 3-year-old maidens at Windsor, what were we thinking?
Oh, they're always good afterwards, aren't they? It's 5-2 as Big Mac says the winner here. On Eric in second, 15-2. Autobahn in third, 9-4 favourite. Of course, if you bat Omar Ladd, you just did not get a run at all. Slowly away, always towards the back. He got past a few eventually, but a miserable run from Omar Ladd on his comeback.
Well, I got Jeff Banks, whose banker was bated breath to go and lose the 740. In it goes at 15-8, well back from 9-4. Jeff, I hope that took a lot of money out of your satchel.
Well, sometimes betting to an opinion costs a lot of money, John, and we knew immediately. But 6-4, there were some lumpy wages, but
it was 5-4 this morning, wasn't it?
It was. Funnily enough, there was a lot of opposition to it, and it finished up 15-8. So in a way, it's kind of inexplicable. I wasn't the only one to be against this horse, but it went down a little bit while, but it came back even quicker.
What was the biggest price you laid?
It was 7-4.
7-4. It did touch 9-4 on the course.
Yeah, well, we laid lots of it, John.
Yeah,
I was into it early, I can tell you.
And then came Sir Michael Stout's Kinrias, a huge drifter on the course. Why did that drift so much?
I don't know, but it was a winning result for us. I mean, there was more money for the favourite in the race, and Kinrias was weak in the market, and it finished up bizarrely as a winner for us. But we've had a winning night by that.
Well, actually, you have the first 3 races were all double-figure prices. They all started at in the opener. That the great Charles the Great. What about that in the opener? Great result for you.
Nobody, not even the mother-in-law could back that one. I mean,
Skinner was it? Was it Skinner?
Total Skinner. It was unfair.
Explain what a Skinner is.
Well, Skinner means when absolutely nobody backs it, not anybody.
No. And Royal Reverie, 14 to 1.
Again, that wasn't backed by his mother either. There was nobody backing that. There have been 2 or 3 significant short price favourites tonight, John, and they've all been ironed out. So, in fact, prior to Bated Breath, we were a long way in front. So
Soap Wall's terrific as well.
Yes, it was a terrific result.
Now you fancy one in the last. Come on, tell us what you
I
fancy.
do.
No.
Evident Pride in the last race. I've got that significantly ahead of the other runners. It should be a fair price. We expect it to be about 7 to 2, and we hope it runs well to at least get us out of the last race.
No, but Jeff, are you doing what some bookmakers do? When I was a bookmaker, we used to do this: go a bar 1, lay everything else, and that works out really well if that one wins. But if it doesn't, you've got an unbalanced book. Are you going to lay that horse?
Well, there's no doubt. Sometimes you end up with egg on your face when you bet to an opinion. There's no doubt about that. But if you play the exchanges, you'll follow the market and you'll probably lose. But betting to an opinion, you must have a bar 1. You must have something up your sleeve.
So you've got up your sleeve Evident Pride.
Yes.
That'll mean you'll go home really plush tonight.
Yes, indeed. I'll fill the car up with petrol if that wins.
We wait with bated breath to hear if Evident Pride's going to win for this man here. Jeff, his banker banks. What happened to that?
Oh, that'll go well.
I'll tell you what, he's spot on with his price as well, because he said 7 to 2, and there it is, 7 to 2. Evident Pride in behind a pair of joint favourites here, Broughton's Paradis and Wrecking Crew, both on 5 to 2. Then Rodrigo de Freitas is 8 to 1, together with Coral Festival. It is 20's Harry's and 25 Rio Prince. The other 3, of course, non-runners here, numbers 1, 4 and 8. So just down to 7 if you're playing each way in this 8:40 race, of course. Now, moment or 2 in the hand before Windsor. They're just getting up now, the riders. It means it's your chance to get involved once again. In this Evident Pride here that we were hearing about a little while ago. 3 to 1 down from 7 to 2. Same mark as Broughton's Paradis. Wrecking Crew, however, remains top of the pile here, switching from the all-weather to the turf, 5 to 2. And money now coming for Coral Festival, who has won round here in the past. That one is now 13 to 2.
Trappy closing handicap for us here to try and find the winner off, but there was one that you thought stood out, Mac.
Well, it's this Evident Pride from Jeff Banks. Has tried 14 furlongs, won over 12 furlongs on the all-weather at Linkfield almost a year ago, and is around £20 lower mark on the turf than it is on the all-weather. But on the all-weather, it's won 6th place 12 in 30 starts, 2 places in 7 runs on the turf. Never won on the turf, but there's a huge drop in the weights it has for running on the turf. If it adapts at all, you can see why Jeff Banks is really fancying that Evident Pride. But Betfair have helped us really shorten up. This Broughton's Paradis has come into favouritism, shortening up on the machine.
Okay, one more left to go. I think with that Broughton's Paradis as well, I thought she was a consistent mare, albeit at the top end of the handicap for Willie Musson and Stevie Donoghue. So, last couple coming forward for the lucky last. It looks a trappy race to try and sort out. Let's go for the final time to Mike Cattermole.
And they're ready, and they're racing. Final race of the evening. The King Cobra handicap is over this best part of a mile and a half. Wrecking Crew dropped out the back of the field there. Evident Pride is the pace setter from Rio Prince in the pink jacket. Just tracking them in the blue with the white spots is Harry's for Hayley Turner, with Coral Festival on the outside of those as they run across the far side of the track. Broughton's Paradis, Rodrigo de Freitas, and finally at the back is James Millman on Wrecking Crew. And he's about 8 lengths off the pace then as they head across towards the intersection now. They'll be passing the mile start in a few strides. And the pace looks a pretty good one too. Evident Pride striding out by about a length and a half then to Rio Prince in second, 2 lengths away to Harry's in third. And then comes Broughton's Paradis in the sheepskin noseband, who's racing on the outside in 4th place of Coral Festival. And then Rodrigo de Freitas, and still looking on at the back of the field is Wrecking Crew. Must be about 12 lengths behind them now as they take the far turn, and they've got about 3/4 of a mile left to cover. About halfway here then in the finale, and the field beginning to pack up a bit on that far turn. The pace has really slowed here. It's becoming tactical now. Adam Kirby allowing Evident Pride to just get joined on the outside by Ryan Powell's mount, Rio Prince in the pink colours. Just behind them then is Harry's, having to take a pull there, Hayley Turner. Broughton's Parody, Sheepskin Noseband sitting just behind these leaders. Rodrigo de Freitas on the outside is poised in the red cap. And also at the back, Wrecking Crew and Choral Festival. Well, any one of these can win this now as they begin to sprint for home. They went quite hard early on, then they slowed it on the turn, and now with 3 furlongs to go in the dash for home, Evident Pride being hard driven now by Adam Kirby. Travelling very smoothly in his slipstream, though, Broughton's Parody with Stevie Donahoe down the outside. There goes Wrecking Crew with a run now from last to challenge for first here. Choral Festival is back in 4th place on the inside, battling on bravely. So too Rodrigo de Freitas, who stays on duly under the whip. Up to the final furlong, Broughton's Parody is holding off Wrecking Crew and Choral Festival. Broughton's Parody gamely by half a length from Wrecking Crew. What a finish. Broughton's Parody all out here, sticks his neck out very gamely indeed to beat Wrecking Crew in second, then Rodrigo de Freitas, and back in 4th then was Choral Festival.
Well, the winner is Broughton's Parody for Willie Musson. I thought she was consistent enough to possibly win this, although I thought she was at the top of her mark. But Mac, but what a messy old race. Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow.
Well, this the Broughton Parody, stamina was no doubt about this Broughton's Parody. Last 7 runs have been on the all-weather and clearly backed on Betfair and the machine you, and that's what levered her into favouritism. Adam Kirby did absolutely all he could on Evident Pride for Jeff Banks and slowed it down, then kicked on coming the straight, but found absolutely nothing when closed in the closing stages, and it was a pretty comfortable win in the end for Broughton's Parody. And once again, with stamina no doubt, staying the trip really was shown there, and wins by a neck and a length, holds on by a neck.
Certainly does. The time is 2 minutes 30.86 seconds. So 2 minutes 30.86 seconds is your winning time there as well in what was a trappy closer, but won by a horse that could pick up bests in the closing stages off a slow pace. Let's get your SP.
Yeah, Broughton's Parody has won it here. I just wonder whether Evident Pride, whether Adam Kirby just realised they'd gone very quick early on. He did try and slow it down dramatically, let the others into the race. Rio Prince came alongside, but in the end, ultimately well beaten Evident Pride. You can only presume they've gone too quick, too soon here.
The evening.
Yes, it is, and then you have Royal Reverie 14-1, Soap Walls at 12-1, absolutely knocking back the punters. But then you come along, you know, on Sky.
I do my usual.
Sky Sports News, bated breath. Jeff Banks, he was going to lay it. His banker was to go and lay bated breath, and then it went 15-8 favourite. And amazing when it was the opposition to Kiniares, so Michael Stout's only runner in the maiden, drifted right out. In the end, it was returned at 5-2, but touched 3-1 on the course, and that was trapped to line for Ramour.
Yeah, and just to say that Roger Charlton said after Bated Breath had won the feature race here that he'd speak to the owner before deciding whether the Golden Jubilee at Royal Ascot was going to be on his agenda or not, because he said it's a big step up to go into Group 1 company like that, and he wondered if maybe a Group 3 might be the more logical progression, but I guess depends if they want to have a run at the Royal Meeting.
Well, I'll go for Group 3. If I, you know, I'd love to be a racing manager. That would be my job.
There must be somebody out there, Matt.
Yeah, we're not paying for the horses, leading them all in. We'll go here, we'll go there. I'd love to be a racing manager, and if I was a manager of Bated Breath, I'd definitely go lower. I wouldn't go for a Group 1. It's not a Group 1 horse, at least yet. I'll go for a Group 3.
It's a lovely attitude, though.
It has, yes, and it was Triple Aspect ran a really good race last year's winner and runner-up, so stamped the form, and this was a really good race for Windsor to go and have, but Bated Breath for me, it wouldn't be a Group 1 horse. But now what we're going to do now, of course, is Indians. It's still around there, so as soon as I can get away from this woman, I'm going to go around. I need more Indians.
And before it starts taking effect, I'm off, Matt.
More Indians for me.
He'll be the last one out tonight, won't he, Big Mac? Thank you very much to Big Mac and Alex as well. Another Monday night at Windsor.